My name's Ryan Diamisi. I'm a wealth advisor at Christian Wealth Management. My mission is to help my clients redeem their money as a tool to build their faith. So today we're going to talk about renting versus buying. If you're watching this video, you might be currently renting and thinking that you're throwing your money away every month when you're paying rent. Or what you could be doing is you might be owning a home and feeling like there's a lot of pressure and demands owning a home. And is this the right thing I should be doing? Or you're just watching this for entertainment purposes because I'm a decent looking guy and I have a nice smile. That could be it too. But here's some common questions that my friend Miles was able to find through Google around if somebody should keep renting or if they should jump in and buy a home and live in it. So the first question is renting just throwing my money away? It's a great question. Will buying a house help me build wealth? It's another great question. What if I'm not going to be, another question could be, what if you're not going to live in the area that you're in for a long period of time? Does it make sense to rent or buy? Definitely something to consider. How long does it take for you to actually, if you're buying a property and borrowing money to buy the property, how long does it take for you to break even? Another great question. What if I want to design the space to fit my preferences? If you're renting, putting a bunch of money into your space may not be as fruitful or not as motivating because it's not your place. So that's another great question. And what about, can I time the market? Is there an ideal time to buy into the market based off of what's going on around in specifically the USA where we live now? So those are 8 common questions good old Google came up with. Some of these we could answer directly, or some of these are just questions to ponder. Miles came up with a nice formula. I don't know if we use this or not, but renting versus buying formula. Let's go for it. I like it. Renting equals flexibility plus simplicity. Not times plus. Just plus. So what you're saying is if I want to maintain flexibility because I am going to be moving shortly, or I'm not convinced that the neighborhood that I'm going to be renting in is where I want to buy, or you're not convinced on where you want to buy within a specific town, renting would make a lot of sense because it maintains flexibility. And then the simplicity piece would be you're not having to take care of, like, if the roof starts leaking or if the HVAC system needs repair or you have to do some landscaping. When you rent a home, other people get to take care of that for you. And that could just be good on your general day-to-day piece. Again, renting over the long term, the prices are going to increase. But if you're not convinced that you're going to be in a home for a long period of time or a neighborhood for a long period of time, renting can make a lot of sense because it's flexible and you're offloading the responsibility to the landlord. Unfortunately, landlords don't come in and clean your dishes. That'd be nice. Make the bed in the morning. That stuff we gotta be motivated to do ourselves. A reason you would consider buying is if you wanted to have stability and you wanted long-term value. So stability would be simply when you own a home, if you have a mortgage on it, hopefully you're listening to scripture, which says avoid debt, to Dave Ramsey, which says 15-year mortgage or less. And then I'm just reminding you guys of those things. That's a good process. 15-year mortgage or just pay cash for a home. That would be awesome. But if for most people, they have a mortgage. So there's 4 components of your housing expense when you own a home. It's your principal. It's the interest for the home that you're paying the bank. It's property taxes, and it's homeowner's insurance. So As you make payments towards your home, eventually principal and interest, if you do a 15-year or less, that's going to fall off pretty quickly, but you will still have homeowners insurance and property taxes that you have to take care of. And those do increase over time as the values increase. But what you'll find is it's going to be less expensive over the long term if you hold the house for a long period of time than if you choose to rent. So owning a home over the long term will stabilize your financial situation. The long-term value piece is from the most practical standpoint, is you're getting, if you pay off the mortgage, you get that income back to do something else with. The next piece is you actually have an asset now that's on your balance sheet that has some type of tangible value that you could sell if you wanted to, if you needed the money for one reason or another. You need a place to live, so probably not a good idea to sell your home. But it at least shows up on your balance sheet, unlike renting. If you rent, there's no asset that is on your balance sheet. At least that's connected to the place that you rent. The third part is that when you own a home, people in general are going to be more motivated to make the home exactly the space they want it to be. Like, you'll paint the walls, you'll redo the floors, you'll do different remodels to make the space exactly what you want it to be for your family and for the friends that you have over. So I think the long-term value, there are financial pieces to it, which is you're freeing up your income when you pay it off. You're throwing it on your balance sheet, which could be helpful for future financial needs. Maybe the most important part is that you can invest your time and your energy into making your home like exactly what you want it to look like, and that you get the most out of your time at home as possible. So if you're considering, should I stay renting or should I sell my home and simplify my life, here are some questions I think you would benefit from asking, and I should be asking myself as a reminder. So starting with, what's the vision for my life? What's the vision God's given you for your life? Proverbs 29:18, I think. Proverbs 29:18, I'll say it more confidently, says, without prophetic vision, the people cast off restraint. So if we've got no idea of what the ideals look like, we're not going to put in the work and the discipline required to try to achieve the vision. So having what we're trying to get out of life is extremely important. The next question to ask is, will this home be a blessing to my relationships? For me, what matters is maintaining connection to God, maintaining connection to others. So as I make decisions, I want to ask myself, is that going to help those relationships, or is it going to hurt them? And some simple sub-questions from that is like, will owning this home require me to invest more time into the home because of maintenance, whatever it is? Like, what is the time requirement from owning this home? Will this home that I own, is it going to put a greater demand on my income? Let's say I don't love my job and I don't see myself there for a very long period of time, and you buy a home that requires you to make a certain amount of money. Now you're putting pressure on what you do for 40 hours a week, which is going to absolutely affect every other component of your life. So what's this requirement for your time for your owning a home? What's the requirement on your money or demand on your money for owning this home? When you're thinking about buying a home or making a change, Scripture always says that, or also says, and it's in Proverbs somewhere, that victory is won through a multitude of counselors. So if you're married, getting your partner's opinion, extremely important. If you're married and single, also getting mentors involved too, and what they think would be the best decision in light of like what God's wanting to accomplish through you. And another question to just ask, which is simple, is do if I'm single, do I have peace about this? And then if I'm married, do me and my partner have peace about this decision? So those are 6 questions to ask. What's the vision for your life? Will this home be a blessing in my relationships? What's the requirement on my time for owning this home? What's the requirement on my income for owning this home? What do mentors think? And do I have peace about this decision? This is a weird way to do 6, but it works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sweet. I have rented, for me personally, walking through this journey, I've rented in the past and I own a home now. What I would say from my experience, somebody that has a 15-year mortgage and is working through paying it off, is I would personally decide to buy a home when it's clear buying a home gives me a pathway to seeing more flexibility with my income. So I was renting before. I was paying $750 a month. And while that's not very much, I was also renting a small place. I had an opportunity to buy a home on a 15-year mortgage and thought, oh, I could buy this home and probably pay it off faster than that. And I can have a space that is a longer-term solution than renting. And I can get that payment off of my budget quickly, which then frees me up to make different decisions around what I do for work, how much time I'm spending with my family, how much time I'm spending at church. And so for me, I'm going to make a purchase decision for a home when I can see the pathway that I get. Buying this home is going to help me create more margin in my budget so that I can use my time, which is the most valuable resource. Money is not as valuable as time is. I want to be able to use money to redeem my time so I can do what I think God's calling me to do with my time and take risks on that. So I want to walk through how, if I had to process this decision today, how I would hopefully process it. So the vision for my life, the bare bones is I want to make decisions with my time and my money in a way that keeps and maintains my connection to God and my connection to others. So as I make a purchase decision on a home, which is going to require the biggest demand on my income, what I want to be careful of, whether I'm renting or owning a home, because you can spend all of your resources renting too. You could certainly spend all your resources owning a home. What I want to be careful of is tying up all of my resources to just where I'm living and not leaving enough margin that I can see progress on the other things I care about. If you're going to own a 30-year home, the benefit to renting is you could rent and pay too much and then learn from the mistake and just get out of the rental, get somewhere else. You buy a 30-year mortgage, and there's a lot more resources and time that you're committing when you buy a 30-year mortgage. So I would do my best to remember what really matters in life. If you're going to go make the biggest purchase decision that you've ever made in your life, it would benefit anybody, myself included, to spend time reflecting what matters in life. And if I make this decision, is this going to help me accomplish what matters in life, or is this going to hurt what I'm trying to accomplish? Yeah, hopefully the 6 questions to ask yourself have encouraged you to think about what matters when buying or renting. If you don't have a vision statement for your life, it may make a lot of sense for you to wrestle with God on what is He trying to accomplish through your life before you make such a big purchase decision. I would strongly encourage you to do that and reflect on those other questions. And I'm reminded that what you put into something is what you get out of it. So the more time you put into big financial decisions, maybe the more you get out of it. Thanks for listening. Look at this smile. Perfect. Thanks for watching this content. It means a lot to us. Our vision is to inspire people to connect their faith to their finances. If you've enjoyed this content, please give us your feedback. Tell us things that we could do better, topics to talk about, or if you want us to change what book to have in the background. Totally happy with those ideas too. If you're looking for an advisor, please reach out.